All right, everyone, welcome to Through the Islets. I am joined by a very special guest today. Cody Morgan is a forward with the Flint Firebirds. He recently put up 58 points in 63 games, and he also has spent time with the Windsor Spitfires and Kingston Frontenacs of the OHL. Cody, thank you so much for joining me today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, it's we haven't spoken in a very long time. Obviously, the nature of things. That's how life can be sometimes. But for a lot of people tuning in, they know you're a very good hockey player, but they don't exactly know how you got here. And a lot of kids from Toronto, they make it up through the GTHL, and it's just such a great league. So, you spent the majority of your minor hockey career with the Toronto Junior Canadiens. Talk a little bit about what it's like to play and grow up with the same group of guys.
Yeah, going to the rink every day and seeing the same faces pretty frequently is, it's comforting. All of them, I still consider, my friends and my brothers. We went to war, and yeah, it was just very comforting seeing the same faces going in, working hard, and seeing the same guys every day. So yeah, it was a really special experience, and I'll never forget it.
And I think it's important to note that a lot of good teams are able to keep this core group of guys, and to start when you're young with guys you like not only helps the team out, but it makes it helps guys who come into a good atmosphere where there's already this bond, and it just makes for a great team, which is what you guys were in that great loop.
Yeah, agreed. I agree for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And obviously it's really important to note that you spent a year away. You played a year up with the Bantam Don Mills Flyers, Daniel Bachner's team, and that had to have been a really good experience as well.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. That was a really good experience. We had a lot of good players on that team. Jack McBain, DeVoe, Willem DeVoe, Tyler Weiss, Declan Chisholm. I can't even. It's been so long. I can't even remember some of those guys. But we had a lot of really good hockey players on that team, and playing up with all those guys was something again that I'll never forget. I learned a lot playing up, and it helped me a lot coming back down for sure.
Yeah, and I think after you came back, you came back to a JRC team that maybe you had to again take on a huge leadership role, and it became so competitive, and anyone could beat anybody, and that was proven when a defining moment early on was when you scored a hat trick in Game 7 against the Toronto Nationals. Why do you think being the underdog at a certain point is so important for aspiring athletes?
Um, yeah, being an underdog, you just don't really have any pressure, I guess. So we weren't really pressured to really win or anything. So we just kind of took it game by game, and we just tried to put our best foot forward every game that we played. So eventually in the end, it worked out for us in our favor. But you know, being the underdog is a good thing. Just keep pushing through, no pressure, and everything will work out. So
And I think it's important to note, like the way that year ended, the OHL Cup final, it was between two wildcard teams, and while they were at the top of the loop, the Nationals and the Reps, throughout the season, they had both lost in the first round. You guys upset the Nats, and the Vaughan Kings upset the Mississauga Reps. So it just shows how competitive the hockey was at that time. I mean, the disparity between talent becomes less and less as you get older, and I think it's such crucial preparation for greater levels, like as you play in the Ontario Hockey League, guys who play in other junior loops, guys that go NCAA. It becomes much more competitive, and it certainly makes it better hockey for sure.
yeah, even Nick Robertson played for. He was on the ninth place team. They didn't even make the playoffs. He came ninth on the Red Wings.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that just goes to show you how many. There was a lot of good players, 2001 age group in the GTHL. So
And it's great you mentioned that name. I'm glad you did, because Robertson, he he came from this team that was lower in the division, but he went in the first round, and it shows that even if you're on a lower team, the GTHL is so strong that the guys around you can still support you enough where you can excel. and we saw that was Robertson. There were other. I'm sure there were other. I can't on the top of my head name, but I'm sure there were other guys that did well from lower teams, and it certainly made the loop great. I don't. I hope you don't. Like I saw one game they beat you guys 2-0. I think if I
Yeah,
recall the
yeah,
minor
I
major
remember
run.
that game. Yeah,
I think it was Scotia
I was out that game though, so
It does make sense. It does. Now
no,
all the puzzle pieces are coming together. But
no,
no,
he's a good player. He's a really good player, so they
yeah.
deserve that win. So
No, it's one win. I know, but it's just to note how great of a league it is, and
yeah, very
it's
very strong league. We had a lot of very good teams and a lot of very good players. So
yeah, and it's just important to note where all of you came from. I mean, the Ontario Hockey League, it's so vast. You play for an American team. There are two other American teams, I believe, and kids are coming from everywhere in the Ontario loop, and from the states where it's doesn't conflict with QMJHL or WHL, and it's just the hockey breeding talent. I mean, you watch the World Juniors. So many of these guys are from the Ontario League on all teams. And I think with Canada, like how stacked they were, regardless of the result, you could have had another Canada team in there with like Billy Constantino, so many other great players that it's just the surplus of talent. It's hard to spread it, and you got one team, and it's going to be of guys that are incredible too. So it's great to note. But obviously, yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
yeah, I know there's a lot of really good players in the O. It's been a privilege up to this point to be able to play in the OHL. And every night, no matter who you're playing, you gotta come to play. There's 1 through 10 in each conference. There's good teams. You gotta come to play every night, and playing in front of all the fans is always awesome. So hopefully we can get back to that soon. With everything going on, some things are bigger than hockey at this point. So
Absolutely, and you just control what you can control, and it's a great segue into our next topic because I know you're a huge advocate for physical fitness, and you've promoted before the LPS Athletic Center on your social media. How has working with certified athlete activation system instructors improved your training? Glad I got that out fluently.
yeah, it's been really good. Going into the gym every day and working out. They make sure to push you to your fullest that you can push, and yeah, that's it. You go in, you put your head down, and you just get to work, and they make sure they push you to the hardest that you can go. So
Yeah, and I think it's important that it also a lot of people don't have the drive, and I'm sure you have the drive, and a lot of people do. But when you go in that environment where there's guys that are so fluent on the subject and they want you to get better, it almost makes you want to get better too because you see how much these people put into it, and you're like, this will only make me get better, and these guys are here to help. Let's get at it, right?
yeah, agreed. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah.
yeah. But and um, I think I think obviously all the best players are trying to get an edge, and everyone has their own gyms they're going to and their own instructors. And this was probably you probably started there after your 16-year-old year, right?
Uh, Going into my 16-year-old year was the first year that I was there. So I was there for 4 summers.
Okay,
So
perfect.
yeah, after minor midget, I switched gyms over to there, and then from there I went to LPS.
Yeah, and I think it's good to make a change sometimes, and it's good to you're obviously trying to better yourself. But you were part of a very rare scenario. You were traded as a 16-year-old from the Kingston Frontenacs. What was the transition like to Windsor, and how do you assess the situation looking back now?
The transition was pretty smooth. All the players made it very comfortable for me since day one. As soon as you got there, so it was very comfortable when I got there, and they made it a very smooth transition. My billets were awesome. I still keep in touch with them now. So it just everything overall was just a great experience, and very comforting and a smooth transition.
And I think that's a great point you made about the billets. It goes such a long way. It's hockey's one of those rare things where in the junior loops you're not really living in a dorm. You're living in someone else's home, and for them to take you in and treat you as though you're living in your own home, and they try to make the decorum and everything kind of really easy to settle into. I think it's a really important game and sometimes a deal breaker, because it's the luck of the draw, and there's thanks to all the great families that do it, and it just makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Going home and being uncomfortable probably isn't the greatest thing, but ever since I stepped through that door in Windsor, it was just comforting, and I got there, and everyone was waiting for me to arrive. So I walked in and said hi to the everyone, and it was awesome. So
And do you think, like, when you, not that it matters now or anything because of where you are today, but when you look back on the Kingston situation, it's very rare that teams trade a 16-year-old. I mean, when a 16-year-old makes the OHL, it's usually because he was drafted high and he's at that level of hockey already. Do you think it was just a developmental opportunity for you? Did they just think that right there at that moment it wasn't best and there were other teams that wanted you more?
yeah, I think Kingston was going to go for it that year and try and win the East, and then eventually go on to the Memorial Cup, which was their plans, and every team's plans that play in the OHL is eventually win a Memorial Cup. So yeah, I think they were going for it, and I wasn't playing that much, or because there were so many good players on our team, Jason Robertson, and it was definitely a development thing. I just wanted to be able to get some ice, and it just ended up working. Windsor had some good players, and we had a swap, went over to Windsor, and then I played a ton, which is what any player wants as a hockey player. So and in the end, I think it worked out, and you know I think in the end it made me a better person and player. So
And absolutely, and I think yourself is a great example because it's important to have that maturity when you leave. It's great to understand that these people, they just had different ideas. There's the older kids play a huge factor. They're much more physically mature. They're closer to the draft or maybe past the draft and trying to get something. Seniority plays a huge role, and to come in as a young guy and just kind of get your foot in the door and learn the way things are. It's never personal. Teams want the best for you, and they might just not see the fit for you. There's so much skill. So to go from 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 Kingston to Windsor is, I think, a great thing. And when you were 17, you were traded to Flint from Windsor, and there was incremental improvement in your production. Talk about why things began to click in Flint and your motivation leading up to the NHL draft.
yeah, same thing, I guess. Windsor, just a developmental thing. I wanted to get over, just try and play a little bit more, and so I guess got traded to Flint, and then I don't know, everything just seemed to click. I just kind of let loose. I felt like when I was playing before, I was playing a little bit with wrap my hands around my stick pretty tight, and
Mhm.
always stressed and worried about making a mistake. And in Flint, I think they just kind of let me do my own thing. I just kind of went out there and played my game, and they let me do it. So I think that's probably the reason why I would see the most upside in the points.
And I think it's great that you mentioned that because a lot of people, they look on the outside, they look from the outside, yeah, outside looking in, and they don't understand kind of how a player views things, because when you're not in the rhythm of things and you're in and out of the lineup, or you're getting one shift here and then a power play happens, penalty happens, and then you get another shift 15 minutes later, you lose the rhythm, you lose the intensity. And there's so many factors that play into getting hot. Like when you're out there a lot, when you're getting your groove going, when it feels like no one's really stopping you but yourself, it feels like you can do anything. And with numbers comes with production. There's on the side the fact that you're given the opportunity, and I think it's a great thing. And it was also your draft year, so you had to have been gaining some traction at least.
Yeah. I think I had a pretty good year when I first got to Flint. So I think I played 30 games. So I just kind of tried to do my own thing out there. Just try and work as hard as I could. that's all you can really do, as getting to a new team. So I got there and I just tried to, work as hard as I could to be able to get some people's attention. And I think I did. Going to Detroit camp was a pretty big deal for me, and it made me pretty confident going into this year that some teams are actually looking and seeing seeing all the hard work that I've done and to see that it's paid off. So
And it's important to note for anybody that if you're there, you're there for a reason. Whether you're fourth line, first line, you've played 20 games, guys have already played 40. You're a very good hockey player at that level, and everyone has the abilities to do well. Just some guys maybe have confidence issues, or some guys maybe haven't been able to get their groove. So for you to go into Flint and already increase your production. I know you were playing well in Windsor, but in Flint you had this offensive explosion of a point per game at 17. It's really important to note that sometimes you just need a change of scenery.
yeah, that would probably be the best way to put it. Again, just a change of scenery. Sometimes it doesn't work out in one scenario, but doesn't mean that you put your head down and mope about it. You keep your head up and keep working through it, and eventually, hopefully, everything pays off. So
Yeah, and exactly, it's all character. There's a lesson to all of it. You should never hang your head and have bad feelings about it, because at the end of the day, you're playing the game you love. There's so much you can learn from it. There's so many characters in hockey. You're learning to work with all of them, and it's great that it ended up as it did that year. But you also, as previously mentioned, you were an invitee to the Detroit Red Wings prospect camp. What do you think were some of the key takeaways from that experience?
definitely watching all the older guys and all the pros, all the NHL guys, just the way they go about their day-to-day life, and the way they carry themselves, their mannerisms and all that. It was a pretty cool experience for me as, an 18-year-old, going to be able to look at all those guys and how they go about their day and all that. So that was probably the biggest takeaway, and just how hard they work. Every day they put in the work, and nothing comes easy in the sport. So
Absolutely, yeah, and just so people get a sense, like some of the names, like Joe Valeno was there, um, you know, and that's about all I can name at the top of my head. But it's, I'm sure you can name more. But yeah, just to get a sense, like who else was there with you?
uh Bertuzzi, Mantha, that was at main camp.
Oh, you were there as
Development
well.
camp, Valino, Zadina, Sider was there, the first rounder in my
Yeah,
draft.
could have used them.
And then all the rest of the, Detroit Red Wing picks. So
Yeah, and it's what you learn from them, and it's just the whole professional experience. To be, in those facilities, to be to have maybe some of a crowd, a showing. It really. I can imagine it was just such a great experience.
yeah, it was definitely a cool experience, and again, I'll never forget it. So
And you also you got to don the uniform. You played in exhibition games against the St. Louis Blues prospects. Talk about that for us.
yeah, first shift, I could tell the pace was legit. It was way quicker than any pace that I've ever played in before. So my mind and my legs were working double time. So uh, yeah, definitely the pace, and how fast the puck moves, and you have to be in the right place at the right time all the time if you want to be able to get scoring chances or create someone else's chances. So yeah, definitely the pace and the puck movement was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and you obviously have to adjust to that fast, and it happens naturally when you're playing. And another thing I'm sure you relied on too was just your positioning. I mean, we learn a lot of chalk talk throughout the years, and we learn the fundamentals. And while coaches aren't probably drawing on the board, 1-3-1s or some lockdown defending, you do positionally have to be aware, and you have to know where you are on the ice. And I'm sure that comes in handy when you're playing against guys that you maybe haven't before.
Yeah, for sure. I just tried to, make sure I had my man all the time in the D zone, and you know, try and create some stuff offensively, open some eyes a bit. So
Yeah. And that was a great, experience. Obviously, it's fortunate for anyone who gets to go through it, and I'm sure it gave you the confidence to do well in the next season, because you managed to break out offensively as an 18-year-old. What part of your game do you think you improved on the most in order to succeed?
Um, Definitely my skating, I think. I've improved on it a bit. I think it still needs work, but I think I've become a more powerful skater with my strides. And definitely I've tried to become more of a playmaker, I guess. I like uh, I like setting up the goals, you know. So that's yeah, probably definitely skating and playmaking for sure. I've just tried to watch, I guess, games and just pick up little things from players on the ice, seeing what they're doing and watching NHL games, same thing, watching all the high end guys. So
And I think it's great that you mentioned that because as an outsider, someone who's observing, I haven't physically seen you play in many years, but just to watch some of these clips now and some of the others I've seen, I also have noticed your skating has improved tremendously. And it's great that you noted that you become a playmaker because as a center iceman, it almost has to come natural if you want to be good at center. You have to be reliable and you have to have a good sense of where everyone else is on the ice. You're almost a quarterback in a lot of situations. You control a lot of the rush. So I mean, statistically, it's easy to see that your assist numbers were exceptional, and it just makes for great hockey, I think.
yeah, I agree for sure, for sure.
Yeah. And it's great obviously that comes with playing in the OHL to get there and have all those development opportunities. I mean, not so many people realize how great it is unless they're there. And I've been fortunate to know some great people throughout the years like yourself who have made it to that level, and they always have positive things to say on the development opportunities, and they coincidentally they come back a better player every year I see them.
Yeah, not only as a better player, but as a better person too. Every day I go into the rink, I learn something new. Always trying to pick people's brains and not only players, coaches, but yeah, it's such a great developmental league. If anyone ever gets the chance to play in it, it's a very special league. That's why when your overage or year is done, you see the guys on the ice crying because you can never go back. And you know, I I never really understood it, I guess, in going into my 16-year-old year, but because I'd be like, oh, it's okay. I have 4 more years of this. Like, I'm fine. And then I blanked and I'm going into my fourth year right now. I don't even know, I don't even know what's happened. I blanked and I'm already in my fourth year.
Yeah,
So,
it goes by fast, and that shows how important it is to you. And you like we mentioned earlier, the billeting transition isn't easy. Not many kids move out at 16 and move in with a family. I mean, I was 18 when I did it, and I can tell you it was a tough transition. So you to summarize it, you become a man quick, and you also become someone looked upon in the community. I'm sure there's lots of kids in those games. I'm sure you're recognized sometimes in the streets in Flint, and you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, obviously, and be the person that they look at you as. And it's such a great experience. I'm sure everyone who comes out of it, or the vast majority, come out much better people and more successful in the long run for sure.
yeah, I agree. Again, you're saying a lot of true stuff. It's again like a special, very, very special league. So anyone who gets a chance to play in it, I cherish it every second of it, every game. I miss it right now. With everything going on, it's tough sitting at home and doing my workouts and all that without going in and seeing the guys every day. I miss them all and miss the fans playing. It's a very, very special league.
Yeah, and the camaraderie is just so important, and it's the friendships you make along the way. Obviously, we talked about your time at JRC, how all of those guys are brothers to you, and I'm sure it's the same way at Flint. I'm sure you guys are dying to see each other and get back at doing what you love. And going back to last year, I mean, you guys boasted your most impressive season since you guys started in the league. You finished fifth in the league standings. What do you think made that group so special?
I think just how close we were. would probably be the most special to, me, and all the players would probably agree with me too. It was a very special group. We got along very, very well. We made a couple trades throughout the year, and it was like they've been there the whole year. As soon as they got there in the room, it was a very welcoming and comforting room. No one ever felt out of place. And I think it was just how close we were. And, you know, we would always, mess around and stuff. So, we'd always be able to have fun. And, when it's time to be serious, we'd be serious. But, I very, very close group. And I think that just tied into our success for sure.
And I think, like you said, in the blink of the eye, in the blink of an eye, you're already now, you would be going into your 19-year-old year. I mean, there's such an importance at that level of having a great locker room presence, and being able to, look at older guys and not be intimidated by them, but look at them as an older brother, look at them as someone you can rely on, come to when things are new to you, things might be tougher, and they can impart some wisdom. I'm sure that was important for you, and I'm sure you had a leadership role too, working with the younger guys. Talk a little bit about how that makes the group so tight knit.
Yeah, I think we had a really good young group too. We had a really good amount of young players, the new guys that came in, and I think a lot of guys took them under their wing and worked with them and helped them be as comfortable as they could be. So again, it's just the same thing when I was 16. You move away from home, you're not used to it. So just being able to be a leader for those guys and try and make them feel as comfortable as they can be with all the circumstances of being away from their homes and all that. So just trying to be able to, make them as comfortable and be a guy that they can come to if they need anything. So
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like a name people might know is Brendan Othman. He went into his first year with you guys as a very incredible player. So to get a talent like that and make him feel welcome, it not only is good for him, but it probably boosts the team as well. When that guy's feeling comfortable and he feels like he can express himself on the ice and be part of the team, it's so important. And I can only imagine how tight knit you guys were, because it's no secret that the best teams are really teams, and it's a group of guys that are together through and through, and deal with the challenges together. So it's great to hear that you guys were as tight knit as you were.
yeah, definitely a very, very tight knit team. We had a lot of fun last year, so I think that helped a lot. Being able to come to the rink every day and just being able to have fun and being in the rink together and shooting the crap and all that. So that'd probably be the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just guys and banter and doing what you love. I mean, it's that simple. You're together and doing what guys like to do, and applies to girls as well. Everyone in hockey, it's the hockey community. But going back to your success, I mean, with that comes a huge following, and with the loyal fans comes new ones. And I mean, you guys had an average attendance of over 3,000 fans. Now, me and my friends in Tier 2 hockey, we don't really have that, so it's pretty cool to see guys the same age getting it. Talk about the local hockey community and what Saturday nights are like at the DFC.
Yeah, it's something, all right. It's two different point of views. If you're a away team, it's probably not the greatest because the door's buzzing on Saturday night. Some of the fans can get pretty rowdy, but as a home team, it's the best. I love it. The fans are unbelievable. They're so supportive. Win or loss, we had the not so good year the year before that, and not very many wins we had, and they were still supportive. Every game they'd come out, and that's all you can ask for as a player. For them to show that loyalty, even though we weren't doing so good, was just a show of character of how much the city of Flint just loves their hockey. So the hockey community there is like the best.
Yeah, and smaller towns, they might not have the same opportunities. They might not be as big, but something like a sport and just a team to bring the community together. I think it's really important. And for them to, Saturday nights, I'm sure it was on a lot of people's schedule. That's when the Firebirds play, and they all go there, and it's just you get a sense of community with it too, for sure.
Yeah. Except when Michigan or Michigan State's playing the football teams. That's it.
Oh,
Football first there always. So
I can imagine. That's a very good point. I did not take that into consideration. Do you think there's like a decent minor hockey community there? Are a lot of kids playing hockey and aspiring to be in the Firebirds?
I think it's up and coming, if I were to say. I think there's a lot of young kids that are just, starting to get into hockey, and it's awesome to see them come out to the games and all that. Sometimes we have appearances where we go out and skate with the kids, and being able to recognize, oh yeah, I skated with that guy last week or whatever, and them recognize you. It's pretty cool. So definitely up and coming, the hockey community in Flint. So
Yeah, and it's great to see. Great to see. Obviously, you guys have posted your best season yet, and you guys are a newer team in the league. It just shows how much the OHL is growing, and with that comes the growth of hockey. I mean, I'm sure it's not a coincidence that the hockey in Flint is growing because of the Flint Firebirds in the OHL. So it's a great thing for everyone that leagues expand and grow our game.
yeah, it is very special. Again, very special league, and to be a part of it every day, I'm blessed. So it's again something I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And, you got to stay optimistic through it. I know these can be blue times for us, hungry to get back at it. But you just got to remember the good times and work towards more. But on a lighter note, Cody, you're going to love this question. I know you are a football fan and a fan of the Cleveland Browns. Do you think they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? I did some research.
I hope so. Pretty much every Sunday, pretty close to heart failure. So every weekend, I'm in front of my TV screaming and jumping around. So this Sunday won't be any different. Probably louder screaming and probably louder, some cursing a little bit. But I hope that they can certainly beat them. And regardless of what happens, I'm still going to be a fan. I love them, and go Browns. It's it.
There you go. And Baker Mayfield, that guy's a beauty. I've seen him on social media. There you go. I didn't even see that. That's
There he
a
is.
sick shirt.
There he
That
is.
guy drinks iced coffee on cold days, I heard. That guy's cool.
He's the man. That's all I have to say. He is the man.
Yeah, the college football in the States is so sick, and you get to see these guys. They do cool things there, and then they make it up. And he was playing for Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
Nasty, nasty. Yeah, he's a beauty. And is Odell Beckham Jr. on the Browns?
Yeah, he's hurt right now. He's on the IR. I think he tore his ACL, I think.
Ah, that might
Yeah.
be the only other name I know. But it's cool to see. I'm not a football guy. I never got into it, but I know that the Browns are a team that people are rooting for, but they weren't successful yet. And for them to get their big break for the first time since I believe 2002.
2002, yeah, 18 years. I was 1 years old. Wasn't even a fan back then, but now I am. And it's very, for the people that have been fans longer than me, it's very rewarding to me to see them, how happy they are and all
Yeah,
that. Even I think I saw a video on Instagram of Baker with I think there's a fan that had cancer, and
I saw
he
that.
went up to him, and they met after the game, after the big playoff clinching game. And for him to, just another one of the reasons why I love him so much. He's such a character, brings so much energy, he's charismatic. I love him.
And that makes people think, because is it really just a game? I mean, the way it can bring the community together, any sport, the way you get fans, the way you have these interactions, and they genuinely look up to these people. And I'm sure for that man who unfortunately has that illness, he sees Baker Mayfield as a sign of hope in life and someone to look at and wish well for. And we're humans are good, and when we find something to kind of enjoy together. It just brings the world together. And, I think it's great that, as someone who doesn't follow football really, to see Cleveland make it and see the public outpour.
I agree for sure.
Yeah. But you know what, Cody? I think that's all I have today. It certainly was a pleasure talking to you again. I I wish you the best in all your future endeavors, and you certainly had a lot of great points, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't know before. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone. That was my interview with Flint Firebirds forward Cody Morgan. A lot of good stuff discussed. Really special episode, and I just thank you all for your continuing support. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more content later to come. Thank you and goodbye.